Hey, what's up, guys? It's 67H Farmer giving you, what everything wrong with a 99 to 06 Chevy Silverado. I personally have the 2500 HD series, but this applies to any. So I've had this truck for about 3 years now, almost going on 3 years, about 2.5 right now, and I've put about 30,000 miles on it since I've owned it. It starts up every time. It's got 199,000. I'm due for an oil change. It starts rough every time, but what do you expect? It's 15 years old, 2003 Chevy Silverado. On a truck like this, you got a squeaking belt, kind of annoying. You can hear the water pump every now and then. Exhaust manifold leak on it. That's typical for these Chevy 2500s with a 6-liter exhaust manifold leak. Stock exhaust. Sounds pretty decent. Not loud enough for anybody who wants to sound cool, but it's got a deep tone to it. First thing I want to address is these mirrors. They didn't come factory with these mirrors. It came with the little tiny round ones. Those ones completely suck. They're too small to actually use as for a big 2500 HD 3/4 ton Chevy truck like this. And then the outside of them, like this side, is too big. The mirror's too small, and then the thing itself is too big. It looks cumbersome and looks ridiculous. It's poor design on GM. Here we go. We got the lens. We got the outer lens peeling. You can kind of see that you got water in between the two lenses. You got water in between the taillight lens and the lens cap, and that's really annoying. Another issue right here is I've gone through so many of these license plate lights. They go on there and then you hit a bump and then just rattle off, fall off. Either that or the cap comes all the way off. That's really annoying. This is a replaced taillight, and it's starting to get that water in there within 2 years. It's annoying. Can't stand it. With these aftermarket mirrors I got, they're about $80 for a set. I lost the cap that goes right here. And if you go look at the one on the driver's side, the mirror cracked. No part of that, I could scrape that off, that's just glue, but the mirror cracked. Just what I wanted. The glue separates in between the lens and the housing of the light, and then gets moisture in there on these two lower parking lights. The driver's side is a lot worse than the passenger side, but the passenger side is starting to get as well. Brief look underneath the hood. I haven't had any issues with the alternator. Power steering pump down there. I went through 4 power steering pumps on this truck. The Chevy Silverado 2500 HD has the Hydro Boost system. You can see that there is no brake booster there that's powered by vacuum. It's powered by power steering line. So you can see this power steering line coming from the power steering pump down there. And when you're pulling something or something, you got a lot of weight like a plow on the front of your truck, and you're also using your brakes while you're plowing, it blows your pump. What happens to this pump every time? The shaft shears inside the pump, and then you lose the serpentine belt, which puts your alternator on there. Your alternator's on that belt, and so is the water pump. So then you lose your coolant as well, and your engine can overheat. Bad design on GM's part. Another thing that's rather annoying is these terminals on the side of the battery GM uses. Yes, they don't corrode or anything, but how do you put jumper cables on something that dinky? They got a really big nut on there with a big shoulder in there, so you can actually get jumper cables on there. It's nice having a steel that goes inside the battery, and then there's nothing to corrode instead of sitting on top. That corrodes like crazy. But they should redesign these bolts. I don't mind having this design. It's a bolt head that sucks when you're jump starting. And as some of you know, I bought this truck with a biofuel system. It was natural gas and gasoline. I don't recommend buying a gasoline and natural gas biofuel system if you plan on using just gasoline. The natural gas worked flawlessly, but I had to He was a stupid. I had that dumb tank in the back of my truck. It took up 2 feet of my bed. I can't slide a full sheet of plywood under it. It's not like a toolbox. It's just an eyesore. It's an ugly gray box. And then the tank's only 15 gallons instead of the 35, so I only get like 100 miles to a tank. And then it's the same price as gasoline, and I get less horsepower. It's not as fuel efficient. I go through more fuel. I don't like it. It's annoying. Another issue with these Chevy Silverados with that biofuel system is that they have, if you go to take it out, I always have an engine code saying that there's something wrong with the fuel pressure system inside the tank. Like my tank's gonna blow up. How is my tank gonna blow up if I no longer have it? The tank used to sit right here in the back of the truck. Used to sit about 2 inches, but it was bigger than this toolbox is. It used to sit out to about here. It was a big tank. It was steel coated in Kevlar wrapped steel tank. And I deleted that, got rid of it when I did all the body work on my truck. New hood, new fender, everything. Now let's talk about rust. You know, if you live in New York State like I do, everything rusts. There's no doubt about it. But these fender flares that they put on the 2003 to 2006 Chevy Silverados, any size, half ton to 1 ton, these fender flares make it rot out. If I take this fender flare off right now, I'm going to have rust come all the way up to this line right here. And that's actually not doing too bad for where I live. Because this is pretty solid down here, but it's all rotten up here. I can guarantee it. And also on the inside, this fender isn't bad because I just replaced it, but on the passenger side, there's no inner fender right there, so this would just flop. And it's going to pretty soon. On the back of the box, the same thing. This is all rotted out through here. And you can see it's starting to spread outside of the fender flare. Like the whole box shakes. It's kind of depressing seeing this much rust on a 2003. And I just did body work on it 2 years ago, not even. So we're on the inside of the fender flare here. And then all the support material from the inside, the inner fender, is all gone from the box side. This fender flare is even worse, because I lost the last fender flare, which was a painted type, because this is a different box. I put this new fender flare on there. I know what it looks like underneath. I actually took tin snaps and cut it all the way around, cut that out, big chunky rust and stuff, and then put rusty metal primer on there to try to slow it down. It's growing. It's just starting to come up to the top here. Expect to replace these rocker panels and cab corners on these 99 to 06 Chevy Silverado 2500s. I replaced mine 2 years ago. They look perfect right now, except for the inside. They're starting to rot out. The frame itself on this truck is really strong. I don't think it's going to rot out anytime soon, but it's still rusty. I have to go under there, take all that flaky rust off, and then prime it and paint it. The frame might be good, but the cross members in between the frame, they've got holes in them. So I gotta go underneath and patch that. So as you all know, this is a 4-wheel drive Chevy Silverado 2500 HD. It's got the torsion bar suspension up in the front, independent front suspension. They call it the IFS. I absolutely love it. The ride is amazing compared to any other 3/4 ton Chevy, 3/4 ton truck. Is it Eddie, Ford, or Dodge? It got independent front suspensions. I think it's the best off-road. It has the best off-road capabilities. Gives you the best traction off-road. It might not be the strongest for like plowing snow or towing or whatnot, but it's definitely the most comfortable ride for a 3/4 ton truck this generation. And to make the 4-wheel drive all work, they have a center differential that has a differential lock right in the middle of the hub, a little electric actuator, and then everything goes on, like goes through the CV shaft. Expect to replace that CV shaft after about 150,000 miles. That's Mine went at 179,000 miles, I believe. 180,000. I had to replace that on the passenger side. This one is still original, I believe. If it's not original, it's replaced early in its life, because it's definitely old. It's about time for replacement on that one. Lock it from the inside. Another problem with these 99 to 06 Chevy Silverados is the door handles. They have this little tiny metal, it's like a pot metal or whatever, a little ugly alloy. It's L-shaped, and then that bracket breaks. Driver's door works just fine, but to let any passengers in, I have to open it up from the inside. For the four-wheel drive, I absolutely love having the on the floor four-wheel drive. Just shift it back, it goes in instantly. As soon as you need, like, I'm not kidding, it goes in instantly. You can do it while you're rolling 10 miles an hour, 20. You can do it if you're going 40 and 4 high. It's like synchronized. I don't know how it works, but they know what they're doing at their GM for the four-wheel drive. When you take it out of four-wheel drive, you have to let off the gas so it can disengage with that electric actuator on the differential. There's no going outside and locking your hubs to go somewhere four-wheeling. You just put on a four-wheel drive and you're set to go. I've had so many instances where I had to go out when it's muddy. You have mud up to your knees, and you had to go lock your hubs because you're stuck. This isn't anything wrong with a Chevy Silverado, but what is this little cubby hole for? You can't put anything in it. Why would they do that? I know that's for the electronic four-wheel drive, if you got the big center console over here. But what's the point of it? Make it useful at least. Having a regular cab like this, the behind-the-seat storage is inadequate. I have no room to store anything. As you can see, my truck is a mess. I don't have anything to put anything. Like, I don't want to have a plastic bag hanging from there, so I can throw my garbage in there, because then it takes up the floor space of my passenger. I can't throw it behind the seat because then I won't be able to get back to it. It's a design flaw. They could have made this another inch or two longer so you can actually fit stuff behind the seat. As much as I've ranted about my truck here, I'm definitely keeping this for a long time, if not a lifetime. It's served me well in the last 3 years. It just needs regular maintenance. It's definitely rusting, but it's New York State. There's not really much else I'd say other than I do recommend buying one of these trucks. If you have an opportunity to buy one of these trucks, I'd take the opportunity. They won't ever let you down. As long as you do your regular maintenance, there's really nothing major wrong that goes on these. All these things that go wrong on it are just little quirks that are annoying, but I do love my truck, and I'll recommend it to anybody looking for a 3/4 ton Chevy, 3/4 ton truck of this year. Something cheap. I paid $2 grand for this, and it's served its purpose for $2 grand. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.